Try this trick and feel 10 years younger instantly. There comes a time in life when you wake up and feel the weight of the years pressing down on you. The stiffness in your back. The lack of energy. The way your reflection stares back at you with tired eyes. It happens so gradually that you barely notice until one day it hits you like a wave. You look around and wonder where all that youth and vitality disappeared to. I know that feeling because I lived it. But then I discovered a trick that changed everything. A simple shift that made me feel 10 years younger in an instant. And the best part is that it does not require expensive treatments. It does not demand hours of exercise. It does not involve any complicated routines. I remember the exact day I realized I had aged beyond my years. I was walking down the street. A younger man brushed past me in a hurry. I saw the bounce in his step, the effortless ease in his movements, and I felt the contrast like a sharp knife. My own steps were slower. My body felt heavier. My mind was weighed down by 1,000 little worries. That was the moment I knew something had to change. I refused to accept that this was the only way forward. I wanted to feel light again. I wanted to feel alive. I searched everywhere for answers. I tried different diets. I attempted new workouts. I even explored meditation. But nothing gave me that instant spark I was looking for. Then one evening, as I sat on a park bench watching people go by, I noticed something. The ones who looked the youngest were not necessarily the ones with smooth skin or perfect bodies. It was something else. A light in their eyes. A kind of presence. A way of carrying themselves that made them seem untouched by time. And then it hit me. The secret to feeling young is not just about how you look. It is about how you move. How you breathe. How you hold yourself in the world. That night, I made a decision. The next morning, I stood in front of the mirror and told myself, today I will move like a younger man. Not just in the way I walk, but in the way I live. I straightened my back. I lifted my chin. I took a deep breath and filled my lungs completely. And then I smiled. Not the forced smile of someone pretending to be happy, but the kind of smile that comes from deep inside. The kind that says, I am here. I am alive. And I am not done yet. The moment I did that, I felt something shift inside me. My energy changed. I felt lighter. I felt stronger. I felt awake in a way I had not in years. And as I walked out of my house, I noticed something remarkable. People reacted differently to me. Strangers made eye contact. Some even smiled back. I caught my reflection in a store window. And for the first time in a long time, I did not see an old man looking back. I saw someone full of life. That one simple trick changed everything. It was not magic. It was not a miracle cure. It was a decision. A choice to step into the day with energy instead of hesitation. To hold myself like someone who still has years of adventure ahead instead of someone who is waiting for life to pass by. And the more I practiced it, the more natural it became. My body started to respond. My mind followed. I no longer felt weighed down by time. I felt engaged. I felt present. I felt younger. What I learned is this. Youth is not something you lose with age. It is something you surrender. It is not the wrinkles or the gray hair that make you old. It is the way you let the world settle on your shoulders. The way you stop moving with purpose. The way you let your mind be consumed by regrets and worries. But the moment you decide to stand tall, to breathe deep, to smile with a genuine sense of joy, something incredible happens. Your body listens. Your mind shifts. And suddenly, you feel a decade younger without changing a single thing about your appearance. I know this might sound too simple, too easy, but I challenge you to try it right now. Stand up. Roll your shoulders back. Lift your head. Breathe in deeply through your nose and feel your chest expand. Now, exhale slowly and smile. Feel the way your body responds. The way your mind clears. The way your energy shifts. That is the feeling of youth. That is the part of you that never really left. It was just waiting for you to wake it up. I have seen people transform before my eyes just by making this small shift. Men and women who believed they were too old to feel young again. people who had resigned themselves to the slow decline of age. And yet, the moment they changed the way they carried themselves, the moment they breathed with fullness and moved with intention, they came alive again. Their energy changed, and everyone around them could feel it too. So if you have ever looked in the mirror and felt like time was slipping away, if you have ever wished you could turn back the clock, know this: you do not need to chase youth. You just need to claim it. Right now, in this moment, you have the power to feel 10 years younger. Not tomorrow, not next week, but instantly. All it takes is a shift, a decision, a commitment to showing up in the world with the energy and presence of someone who is still excited about life. I promise you this: if you start your day this way, if you carry yourself with strength, if you fill your lungs with air and your mind with possibility, you will feel different. You will walk into a room and people will notice. Not because you look younger, but because you radiate something that is even more powerful. A spirit that refuses to be weighed down by time. A presence that makes you unforgettable. And in that moment, you will understand that youth is not a number. It is not something you lose. It is something you choose. And you can choose it right now. Now, let's clear some common questions. How can practicing this trick daily lead to long-term changes in how you experience life? Let me tell you something most people refuse to believe. The way you feel today is not just a result of time passing. It is the result of the habits you repeat every single day. You might think that aging is something that just happens, but I have seen with my own eyes how a simple trick practiced daily can shift the way you experience life in a way that no medicine or expensive treatment ever could. I am not talking about some magic pill or secret formula hidden in the depths of ancient history. I am talking about something far simpler yet far more powerful. It is the act of choosing to engage with life as if you were already filled with the energy and lightness of youth. When you commit to practicing this every single day, the changes in your life become undeniable. At first, you may feel a little silly, as if you are pretending to be someone you are not. Your body may resist. Your mind may whisper doubts. But that is only because it is unfamiliar. The truth is, youth is not just about the number of years you have lived. It is about the way you carry yourself, the way you breathe, the way you move, and the way you see the world. Every single day, people unconsciously allow themselves to be weighed down by stress, worry, and routine. They walk a little slower. They breathe a little shallower. They let their shoulders slump forward. They stop playing. They stop laughing as often. They stop looking at the world with curiosity. And before they know it, they feel much older than they actually are. But when you practice this trick daily, something happens that cannot be ignored. The way you move through the world starts to shift. Instead of waking up feeling stiff and sluggish, you wake up with a sense of excitement, as if the day holds something new for you. You become lighter on your feet. You breathe more deeply. You start to notice that your body responds differently. Your energy no longer feels drained halfway through the day. Your posture improves. The way you carry yourself changes, and with that, the way the world responds to you also changes. I have seen people who looked years older than their age completely transform simply because they started practicing this trick every day. They became more engaged with life. They smiled more. They walked with purpose instead of dragging themselves from one place to another. They stopped speaking in a tired, defeated tone and instead let their voice carry the enthusiasm of someone who still has so much to experience. And when you do this consistently, something remarkable happens. Your mind begins to believe it. You see, the mind is always listening to the signals the body sends. If you act old, if you move like someone who is exhausted by life, your mind will accept that as the truth. It will reinforce it by making you feel even more tired, even more drained, even more unwilling to try new things. But if you practice this trick daily, if you carry yourself with energy, if you move with the lightness of someone who is excited about what is ahead, your mind will begin to shift. It will start to believe that you are full of life, and in return, it will flood your body with the kind of energy that keeps you feeling young. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might say, but I have responsibilities. I have stress. I have aches and pains. I have things that keep me from feeling young and free. And to that, I will tell you something that may be hard to hear. Those things will always be there. Life will always have its struggles. It will always have its challenges. But how you carry yourself through those challenges determines whether you allow them to steal your youth or whether you choose to meet them with strength, resilience, and energy. This trick is not about denying reality. It is about reclaiming the part of you that was never meant to fade. When you practice this daily, you will start to see how much of your exhaustion was not physical but mental. You will notice that the world around you starts to feel different, not because it has changed, but because you have. The opportunities that once seemed out of reach will suddenly feel possible. The people around you will notice the shift in your energy. They will respond to you differently. They will be drawn to you, inspired by you, even if they do not quite understand what has changed. And the beauty of it is that it only gets stronger with time. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. What once felt like an effort will become second nature. You will no longer have to remind yourself to move with energy, to breathe deeply, to engage with life fully. It will simply be who you are. And when that happens, you will realize that feeling younger is not about going back in time. It is about fully embracing the life you have right now with the same excitement, energy, and openness that you once had before the world told you to slow down. I have lived long enough to see people age before their time simply because they believed they had no choice. And I have also seen people in their later years walk into a room with more presence, more energy, and more life than those who are decades younger. The difference was never in their age. It was in the way they chose to show up every single day. So I will leave you with this. If you want to feel 10 years younger, not just for a moment but for the rest of your life, commit to practicing this trick every single day. Wake up and choose to carry yourself with energy. Breathe fully. Move with purpose. Smile like you mean it. Engage with the world as if you are still hungry for all the experiences it has to offer. Do it even when you do not feel like it. Especially when you do not feel like it. Because the more you do, the more you will realize that youth was never something you lost. It was simply something you forgot how to live. Why do so many people overlook this simple approach in their search for youthfulness? Most people spend their lives chasing youth as if it is something they can buy, something they can find in a bottle, a treatment, or a secret formula sold by those who profit from their desperation. They search for complicated solutions, willing to spend fortunes on creams, pills, surgeries, and treatments that promise to erase the years. Yet they overlook the simplest and most powerful approach to youthfulness. It is not hidden. It is not expensive. It does not require years of research or the approval of experts. It is right in front of them, woven into the way they move, breathe, and engage with the world. And yet, they ignore it. They reject it. They do not believe something so simple could hold the key to what they so desperately seek. The reason is simple. People have been conditioned to believe that anything valuable must be difficult. They have been taught that youthfulness is something that fades with time, something that can only be restored through external means. They have been fed the idea that feeling young requires fighting against nature rather than working with it. So when they hear that the way they carry themselves, the way they breathe, the way they engage with life can instantly shift how old they feel, they dismiss it. They shake their heads and say, "It cannot be that easy." They refuse to believe that something as simple as posture, movement, breath, and attitude could have the same, if not greater impact than all the expensive solutions they have been sold. People are drawn to complexity. They want something that sounds scientific, something that comes with big words and expert opinions. They want a solution that feels like a breakthrough, a discovery, a secret that only a select few know. They do not want to believe that they have had the power all along. Because if they did, they would have to take responsibility for how they feel. And most people are not ready for that. It is easier to blame age, genetics, stress, or circumstances. It is easier to believe that youth is something that slips away beyond their control, rather than something they can reclaim through their own actions. Another reason people overlook this simple approach is that they are trapped in habits that reinforce the feeling of aging. They wake up each day and move in the same sluggish way. They let their shoulders slump. They take shallow breaths. They speak in a tired voice. They repeat the same complaints about how time is catching up to them. They surround themselves with others who reinforce these ideas, who talk about aging as if it is a slow and inevitable decline rather than a state of being that can be shaped by how they choose to live. And because they do these things day after day, they do not even realize they are training themselves to feel old. They do not see that their own patterns are making them feel heavier, slower, and more disconnected from the energy they once had. Even when they hear about this simple trick, they hesitate. They do not commit to it because they expect results without effort. They try it for a day, maybe two, and when they do not feel an immediate and dramatic transformation, they go back to their old ways. They do not realize that just as they trained themselves to feel old, they must now train themselves to feel young. It is not about forcing something unnatural. It is about returning to what was once effortless. Watch a child and you will see. They do not worry about their posture. They do not have to remind themselves to breathe deeply, to move with energy, to be fully present in the moment. They do it naturally because they have not yet learned the habits of aging that so many adults carry without question. Fear also plays a role in why so many people overlook this approach. They are afraid of looking foolish. They are afraid of breaking free from the patterns that have defined them for years. They are afraid of standing out, of being different, of embracing an energy that others might judge. They are so used to carrying themselves in a certain way that the idea of shifting it feels uncomfortable. They do not realize that the discomfort is not a sign that it does not work. It is a sign that they have been living in a way that does not serve them for far too long. And then there are those who resist because they do not believe they deserve to feel young. Life has worn them down. They have been through struggles, heartbreaks, disappointments. They carry the weight of their past like a heavy coat, and they believe that to feel young again would be to deny everything they have been through. They do not see that feeling youthful does not mean erasing their experiences. It means embracing them while still choosing to move forward with energy and purpose. They do not realize that they can be both wise and youthful, strong and lighthearted, experienced and full of life. I have seen people wake up to this truth later in life and regret all the years they spent feeling old before their time. I have watched their faces light up when they finally understand that youth was never something they had lost. It was something they had forgotten how to live. I have seen them stand taller, breathe deeper, move with a newfound ease that changes not just how they feel but how the world responds to them. And I have seen others refuse to believe it, holding on to their old ways, convinced that they are too far gone, that it is too late, that nothing so simple could make a difference. But the truth is, the simplest things are often the most powerful. The way you carry yourself, the way you move, the way you engage with life, it all sends a message to your body and mind. It tells them whether you are still filled with life or whether you have given up. And the more you reinforce that message, the more it becomes your reality. So if you are still searching for youthfulness, if you are still chasing it in all the wrong places, stop for a moment. Take a deep breath. Stand up straight. Move with intention. Speak with energy. Engage with the world as if you are still excited about what is to come. Do it daily. Do it even when you do not feel like it. And watch what happens. Because feeling young is not about turning back time. It is about choosing to live fully, right now, in this moment. How can you make this shift a permanent part of your life instead of just a temporary boost? Most people will try something new, feel a spark of energy, and then let it fade away just as quickly as it arrived. They get excited, they see a glimpse of what is possible, and for a brief moment, they feel alive again. But then, life pulls them back into old patterns. They slip into their usual way of moving, thinking, and reacting. And before they know it, they are right back where they started. They say it did not last. They say it was just a temporary boost. But the truth is, they never truly committed to making the shift a permanent part of their life. They treated it like a passing moment instead of a new way of being. Making this shift permanent requires something deeper than a quick attempt. It requires changing the way you see yourself. If you view this as just another trick, just another method to try for a few days and then forget about, then that is exactly what it will be. But if you truly decide that this is who you are now, that this is how you live, breathe, move, and engage with life, then it becomes permanent. Not because the method itself is magic, but because you have chosen to embody it in every moment. People underestimate the power of small, daily decisions. They think big changes require dramatic effort. But it is the simple things done consistently that shape who you are. The way you stand. The way you breathe. The way you carry yourself. These things may seem small, but they are messages to your body and mind. When you practice them every day, they become second nature. They stop feeling like something you have to remember and start feeling like something you simply are. The challenge is that most people will feel resistance. Their old habits will try to pull them back. They will wake up one morning feeling tired, and instead of choosing to move with energy, they will let that tiredness define them. They will say, "I do not feel like it today." And that is how the shift is lost. Not because it does not work, but because they allow their feelings in the moment to dictate their actions. If you want this to be permanent, you must act in alignment with it even when you do not feel like it. Especially when you do not feel like it. Because that is where the real transformation happens. I have seen people start strong, only to let doubt creep in. They ask themselves, is this really making a difference? They overanalyze. They wait for proof instead of trusting the process. But the proof is in the doing. The more you commit, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the more it shapes how you experience life. You do not need permission from the world to keep going. You do not need validation from others. You simply need to decide that this is the way you will live from now on. One of the most powerful ways to make this permanent is to surround yourself with reminders. If you are constantly around people who reinforce old patterns, it will be easy to slip back into them. But if you fill your environment with things that remind you of the shift, whether it is words, images, music, or people who live with the same energy, you will find it easier to stay on track. Create an atmosphere that supports your growth rather than one that drags you backward. Another key is to turn this into something you love rather than something you force. If you see it as a chore, as something you have to do, then it will always feel like an effort. But if you find ways to make it enjoyable, if you bring curiosity and playfulness into it, then it will become something you want to do. Something that feels natural. That is the difference between those who make lasting change and those who do not. The ones who succeed find joy in the process. They are not just waiting for results. They are living the change every day. Some people will say they are too busy, that life gets in the way. But this shift does not require extra time. It is not something separate from your life. It is the way you live your life. The way you walk to your car. The way you sit at your desk. The way you interact with others. The way you speak. Every moment is an opportunity to reinforce the shift or to let it slip away. If you wait for the perfect time, it will never come. But if you integrate it into everything you already do, it will become part of who you are. There will be moments when you forget. When you catch yourself slipping into old habits. That is normal. The key is not to be perfect. The key is to catch yourself and shift back. Do not let one day of forgetfulness turn into a week, then a month. Recognize when you have fallen and stand back up. Each time you do, you strengthen the habit. Each time you do, you make it harder for the old patterns to take hold again. I have lived long enough to know that true change does not come from temporary motivation. It comes from commitment. From a decision that this is how you will live, not just for today, but always. It comes from acting in alignment with that decision, not just when it is easy, but especially when it is hard. And it comes from truly believing, that you have the power to shape how you experience life. So if you are wondering how to make this shift permanent, stop looking for an answer outside of yourself. You already have it. It is in the choices you make every single day. It is in the way you carry yourself right now, in this very moment. Choose to embody it. Choose to commit. And do not look back. If you liked today's discussion, don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel, so until next time, take care.